So if I am looking at yours, number 12, when you add those together, you are adding, if I look at your number 12, your number 12, you should have added negative 4n and 4. You write that as negative 4n plus 4. Those are not like terms, right? You are adding n plus m, plus negative 5 or minus 5. So you could have n plus m minus 5, or you could have plus a negative 5. I would take it either way. Those are not like terms. You can't combine them together. When you are adding negative 2n plus 3m, those are not like terms. That is your term. And then negative 4n. Okay? So I'm not sure if the question was on how do you add when you have variables. And then here's the other thing. Advisory, or at 8 o'clock in the morning, if you have that many questions, you should be in here getting help. I can't do all of these, and we won't in class. 15 came up for a couple of people, so let's look at 15. 15, you are simply multiplying. As you start multiplying in 15, you are taking 4c times 0. Nice. The first row and the third row, those are nice. 4c times 0 is 0. Next, you're going to have 24c. Next, you're going to have 0. Next, you're going to have 12ac. Yeah.
In the answer key, it says 12c. I think that's what
That was a mistake. It should be ac. Okay? So 15's answers, that's what we're saying. Okay? I'll make sure I put a note to that. Since these are just new ones we made up. Answer. Okay? Any other ones you had questions on like that okay? How about 14? Did you look at the answer in the back for 14? 14. When you look at that answer in the back, should we have been able to add those? We have, if you look at this, and I think what's tricky here is that you have a 2 by 1 by a 2 by 1, and some people were thinking that it wasn't. So when you look at this, this is one term just like this is one term. This is one term just like this is one term. So 14, different than, were there any that we couldn't add? I don't think so, right? They all worked. Tonight is when some of these are going to get a little more complicated. And then on Thursdays, that practice is where you're going to have some that are undefined. So when I look at number 14, I am actually adding, it's one big term when I look at 14, and it is x plus y minus 5. That's one term. That's like the first row. That's just one big thing added together. Same thing in that next one down. It is x minus 6 minus 6xy. That's just one term, okay? It's just that there's more terms in each one. Let's see, 18. So 18 is kind of similar to that. Make sure you check out the answers in the back, and if you really don't still get 18, check with me. And then if we look at number 23. 23, I think the easiest way to do 23 and then kind of looking at 24 is 23 you're adding. So this is, again, I like to think of this as addition here and then changing everything to the opposite, and same with that next one. The main reason I like to do that is that then I see the signs in front of it. I don't have to put a sign in front of 0. This one's going to be negative, positive. This is going to be negative, negative, positive, and positive. Okay? So that if I'm adding 5 plus 6, I get 11 minus 5. That leaves me with 6, right? In the first row, first column. I am now adding 3 plus 0 minus 4. That leaves me with negative 1. Okay? I am adding 5, the 1, 2. So I should have, if I'm looking at that, that second one was a negative 1. So 5 minus 1 is 4 plus 2. So I should have 6. And in that last spot, 11. when you go to add this, the matrix that you are adding is if I am looking at this one, it is negative 20. Then I have a 30 back here. I have a 5 and a 5 and a negative 20 and a negative 5. And I'm adding these two together to get my answer.
Yeah. The answer key is a little different on that one. Because it's like, you figure out it's negative 20, and then like, for some reason on the answer key it says negative 19.
Yeah. Is it negative 20 plus 1, negative 19?
Oh wait, are you not saying that?
Yeah. What else does it have?
Well, it has negative 19, 30, what's the answer? 31, 11, 1, negative 20, negative 5.
So 31, yeah, 11 and 1. 6 plus 5 is 11. Negative 4 plus 5 is 1.
Oh, I thought you were done.
I wasn't. I was going to leave you guys to add that. That was just, you had to do that, and then this is the answer. I just wasn't putting it up because you guys should have added negative 20 plus 0. Yes, got negative. I wasn't putting the answers in the back, so you didn't have. You could check it. Okay. If you're still having lots of questions with these, this is the easier stuff. Today's gets uglier. I'm sorry to tell you that. Okay. I'm sorry if this was hard for you, or you were struggling with this a little. It gets a little worse today. So make sure tomorrow morning you get your butts in here. I'm usually here after school for a little while. But today I have meetings on Wednesdays, so I won't be here Wednesdays, but any other day. So please turn to your notes at the beginning. We're looking at A3. We are multiplying matrices. Okay? As we are looking at this, okay? So, Sanjay, would you please read for us? Problem 1, Chad. Yep.
Chad owns a meat/vegetable pie food store. Here is sales reported days last week. Beef pies cost $3 each, chicken pies cost $4 each, and vegetable pies cost $2 each. How much money did he make each day this week?
So if we are looking at it, says we're going to learn how we can make this matrix and perform a matrix multiplication to solve the problem that we are looking at. Okay, so if you continue, Evie, on that next page down.
For the cost, you would multiply?
Mm-hmm.
You would multiply 3 times 13 pies, 4 times 8 pies, 2 by 6 pies. Then you would add up these 3 numbers to get Monday's total sales. Really, you're taking each element in the row matrix 1 and multiplying it by each element in the column of matrix 2. Then find the sum.
So, this first one, as we do this, I'm going to have you, so it says, notice you have a 1 by 3 matrix, and you are multiplying it by a 3 by 4. Okay. So what you're going to do is you're taking 3 times the 13, you can see they show it here, okay? So it's kind of like we're doing, you're going to take these 3 times these 3 going down. That is going to give us what is the very first cell in our answer, okay? So when I am doing this, when I was looking at it, I think the best way to explain that is we are going to put this, so put the 3, 4, 2. We're taking that times our 13, 9, 7, 15. And if you can, so that you have room to show what your final answer when we do this is going to be a 1 by 4. Okay? Okay, our final answer is going to be a 1 by 4. Okay? So we want to fill in the rest of these numbers from up above, and then we're going to kind of do this one together. So we had 8, 7, 4, 6, 6, 4, 0, 3. Okay. So when I was doing mine, this 83, that's this first one. Okay. let's do this together, okay? You're going to take 3, okay, if we look at this, we're going to take this whole thing and distribute it, okay? So you're taking the whole thing. So right below here, I just want you to write that out. We're going to take 3 times 13, right? So the $3 times 13. I did it up at the top, okay? Plus, we're taking the 4 times the 8. Plus, we are going to take the 2 times the 6, okay? That's 83. That goes in our first one. Okay, write it down. You don't have to totally understand it right now, right? You need to write it down so when we do the next one, you're ready to keep going. Okay, so the next one I'm doing is I'm doing the Tuesday, right? What is the Tuesday? That's taking the $3 times what? 9. So show it down here. 3 times 9. Plus you're doing 4 times, go down, 7. Plus 2 times 4. So you're taking this whole matrix times everything going down, right? That's where they got the 63. That's our next number in our cell. Okay? We're now doing Wednesday. So we're taking, so these were each day, we're now taking the $3 times the 7. Okay, if you're ready, if I call on you. I'm going to take the $4. What should I be multiplying that $4 times, Taylor? 4 times 4, okay? I'm going to continue with this one, right? As I'm continuing, Jacob, I'm going to take my last number here, which is plus a 2 times how much? 0. So multiplying these, I'm okay if you do the multiplication in your head and go, oh, 21 plus 16 to get our answer, 37, right? I don't care if you use a calculator for this, right? So this next one is 37. Okay? So now we're going to start out. Jacob, tell me in that last row, we're going to go all the way over to here, right? So we're going $3 times 15. Next, Gavin, I'm going to take $4 times 6. My last one is I'm looking at Katie did in front of him. $2 times the 3. So again, 30 plus 24 plus 6. And I don't care if you use your calculator, not 30, 45 plus 24 plus 6. Use your calculator, do it in your head. 75 for our answer. Okay? So we started with a 1 by 3. We multiplied it by a 3 by 4, and our answer was 1 by 4. Okay? Let's go to the top of that next page. So this is where they're kind of talking about moving your fingers. It says to calculate AB, I write down A and B next to each other. Okay? Sometimes they might do it this way, other times like this. And what you are doing is you're going across, and so what they're trying to show you is that you're taking the 1 times the 0, and the 1 times the next one, and then the 1 going down, right? So you're going to go 1 times 0, you're going to go 0 times this one, you're going to go here times 0. Then you're going to do the same thing, okay? So if we are filling this one in, kind of doing that same process, right? Okay? So it says, now I need to multiply the rows of A by the columns of B. This means that I first take the first row A and the first column of B, and I multiply the first entries, then the second entries, then the third entries, and I add these 3 products together. That sum is the only entry that I'm putting in. Okay? It then says, in fact, being the product of row 1 and column 1, the result is the one entry of AB. Then I continue in this manner. For instance, the sum of the product of row 2 of A and column 1 of B is the 2 entry in AB. So as you look at this, we're going to kind of go through and do this one. Because they kind of cover this one up, Yeah, let's fill this in. So you're going to go up here, right? So we did the 1, the 0, we did this one. We took this row, and we did here. That's going to be our first entry. That came out to be 0. We are now going to take this 1, and we're going to go back here. So we're going to do 1 times 3, right? Write it down, 1 times 3 plus 0 times what? Got to go down this one, right? So now we're in the second one that we're going down. 3 negative, 0 times negative 1. And then I'm going to add negative 2 times 4. So I actually have, when I'm looking at that, 3, right, plus 0 plus negative 6. Does that look right? Or negative 8. I was adding those last two. 3 plus 0 plus negative 8. Does that make sense to everyone? 3, 0, negative 8. When I add those, I should get negative 5. Let's go down, now taking the second row, right? So now we're going to be row 2 with column 1, okay? That means you're taking 0 times 0, right? Plus 3 times what? 3 times negative 2. Plus we are taking, last one, negative 1. Oh, negative 2, excuse me. 0, 3, negative 1 times what? Times 0. So I have 0 plus negative 6, or minus 6, plus 0. Should have a negative 6 here. Let's do that last one. What is the last one that I'm looking at? In this last one, I'm going to take this whole row, but now I'm going to do this column, right? Does that make sense to you? So we are going to take the 0 times, we are looking at that, 0 times 3 plus 3 times negative 1 plus negative 1 times 4. If I was looking at that, I have 0 minus 3, and I should have a minus 4. And this comes out as a negative 7. So, if you are reading on the top of the next page, Brecken, would you please read for us? For that next screen down, problem 3.
Not all matrices can be multiplied. 2 facts to remember. Columns in A must equal rows in B. The other 2 dimensions are the dimensions of the product matrix of the answer.
So, columns in A must equal rows in B. So, columns in A, these are my 2 columns, to my 2 rows, okay? So if I'm looking at this, right, and I have my columns to my rows, and so we are looking at this one, and it says AB is a 3 by 2 and a 2 by 4, so the product is going to be 3 by 4. This exists. If I take B times A, okay, 2 by 4 by 3 by 2, not equal, no product. It says if you are asked to multiply matrices together that are not the right size, there is no defined answer, and we are writing undefined. So undefined, remember, that's kind of like when you divide by 0, right? Dividing by 0 is undefined. You cannot do it. There isn't a number, okay? There isn't a matrix, so we're going to write undefined. Top of the next page, okay? We're going to do the first one together, and then that second one, I'm going to have you guys try it. When you are doing these in your homework for the first ones, I want you to show me your work. What do I mean by the work part of this? I'm going to show you right now. The work is when you show all those things that you're multiplying, okay? So when I think of the work, I'm thinking of, I'm going to think of this as my work one, and then down here is going to be my final answer, okay? So when you do your homework, I don't care, you have space in your homework that you can kind of do it behind it or next to it. So if we are going row, right, by column, okay? So let's start off. I am going to take 1 times 2, right, this is my work, plus, I'm taking 2 times what? 2 times 1. I'm okay that you go, oh, 2 plus 2 gives us 4. That's going to be my answer, right? Let's go across over here. When I go across over here, I'm still taking the 1. I'm still in that same row, except now I'm going to this next column, right? So I'm taking 1 times 0, and I'm adding 2 times 2, right? Took 1 times 0, 2 times 2. Still get 4, right? 0 plus 4. Now we're going to go for this bottom one, right? Now we're going to go to our next row. That's what goes across the bottom. We're taking 3 times 2 plus 3 times, or excuse me, 4 times 1. Yeah, I just said it wrong. So we have 6 plus 4 gives us 10. The last one, if we are starting off. Tell me, Sanjay, what am I going to put first? I'm going to do the multiplication. 3 times 0, and then Liz, I'm going to do what next? 4 times 2. So that's 0 plus 8 gives us 8. Does that make sense how I want you to show your work? Okay.
Can you write for me, I'm gonna forget the rows times columns. Can you write little steps, like this one goes first, and then you multiply this order or this thing?
Well, my kids, you're going row, so see maybe if I can highlight for you. I want you guys to start this next one. Okay. I want you to see if when we get it, do we get a different answer, right? Multiply that order, because they're the same 2 matrices. It's just we're multiplying, okay? So to get this row, you're going here to here, right? I don't know if you can see those highlights, but that's good, okay? That's how you're getting that one. I do think it's helpful for the work, so I am going to write the work in up here as you're doing this. 2 times 1 plus 1 times 3. You then should have had 2 times 2 plus 0 times 2. Wait.
2 times 1.
2 times 2.
1
Right?
times 3.
And 0 times this 0 should have been times 4. My fault. Right? That makes sense? You're going row 1, 3, row second column. Check.
Wouldn't it be plus 0 times 3?
Right.
You should have
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
No, 2 times.
No, the first one.
You did?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 0. My fault. And then it is 2 times 2. Keep me on track here. 0 times 4. Right? Okay. Next, going across, right? 1 times 1 plus 2 times 3. 1 times 2 plus 2 times 4. So the question is, are they commutative? Is matrix multiplication, do I get the same answer? Like when I take 7 times 4, that's the same as 4 times 7, right? That's commutative property. Is matrix multiplication commutative? Meaning, okay, remember, 2 times 1 we know is the same as 1 times 2. So is this property commutative? We would say. Did we get the same answers? No, this matrix is not the same as this one. Okay? So, is multiplication of matrices going to be commutative? No, definitely not. Okay? Normally, order doesn't matter when we multiply, but when matrices are multiplied, order does matter. You will almost always get different answers when the order is changed for our multiplication. This answer is not the same as this answer. But 1 times 2 and 2 times 1, that is the same thing. So most times, most general multiplication is commutative. Matrix, no. So, you are going to try this one. And Whitney, if I was thinking of giving you a rule, you are always going row times column, right? You're going to take each row, so I'm going, can we multiply this one? This is a, how many rows? 3 by 3 rows by 2 columns, right? Times, can we multiply a 2 by 3 matrix? Yes. Okay? You are going to start it. It's a little uglier one. Show your work. Okay? So, Micah, start us off. 0 times 1 plus 3 times 0. I'm going across. I'm doing that same row still, right? And so if I'm looking at that same row, I got to see the chart. Don't have it down yet. Sorry. So I'm going to go first with 0 times what? Careful. Next one. So 0 times, I'm going down here. 0 times, 0 times 0 plus 3 times 3. Last one in that, going across that row, I'm going to have Abby what? You, Abby. 0 times down this column. So when we're doing this, this is where they kind of showed that with your fingers, and they said, you know what, take 0, and you're going to go times 1, and then 3 times 0. Now you're going to go 0 times 0, and 3 times 3. Now we're going to go, Abby, 0 times negative 2 plus 3 times negative 2. Okay? Negative 1.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, let's go. Next one, if we are going, Whitney, I'm taking negative 2 times, go down, 1 plus negative 1 times 0. No problem. Okay? If we keep going, and that one, if I'm looking at that, Elena. Negative 2 times 0
plus negative 1 times 3.
Negative 1 times 3. Okay? We're going to keep going with that one, right? So if I keep going with that one, Lainey. Negative 2 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times what? Negative 1? Yes. Okay. Dylan, ready to start us off? That last one, we're going with the 0 4s, right?
0 times 1.
Yep.
3 times
Careful.
0.
Go down, going across here, so we're going to take 4 times
0.
4 times 0. Okay? We're continuing, right? Ben, going to start us off. I'm doing what? 0 times? 0 times 0 plus? 4 times 3. Okay? Owen? Last one.
0 times negative 2 plus 4 times negative 1.
So, if I'm looking at these, and I notice here, right, all my 1s going down, right, all the zeros. The zeros. These are my 3s. These are my negative 1s. These are my negative 2s, right? Where did those ones come from? Came from here, right? Came from this one, right? Where's my first number coming from? That first number, if I want to think about that. All right? The first numbers, where are those coming from? Those are here, right? Okay? So that's where you're kind of doing that distributive. The yellow ones, that second number, and you're just kind of going down that, going across, okay? So if I was looking at my final answer for this one, did you guys get that final answer? Okay? If I was looking at this, we would say that this is what kind of a matrix at the end? A 1, 2, if we're going down, it's how many rows? 3 by 3 is our answer for our
3.0.
Okay? So it should be a 3 by 3. Someone want to, let's go with, you want to read me your answers going across? Did you have them yet?
No,
Okay, do you have yours, Kate? Okay. Tell me the first one.
0.
0, let's go across.
9.
Yep.
Negative 3.
Yep.
Negative 2. Negative 3. 5. 0. 12. And negative 4.
Okay. It's a little ugly, right? So, tonight, and it's Wednesday night, right? So tonight, I am not looking that you have this done for tomorrow, but you should have started this, right? You should go through and start some, and tomorrow is going to kind of be, I want you to just look at that next page. So A2 and A3. A2, it's 2 pages. You have time, if you have your church activities haven't started tonight, you have time to take a look at these.